were just, well, no, this is fairly new. You basically had created your own creature, and in this case, I am calling this method called do something. So the space creature is a global variable. It's going to live as long as the program lives too in this case, and you don't fully have to understand why, but as long as the program's running, this space creature is going to be alive. In essence, it's going to be taking up memory, and it's going to be ready to do things. And so what I did in the last class, in the last class, I showed that I created a new method inside of my creature called do something. And the reason I called it do something is because, depending on what your project creature or spaceship or car is, this do something could be different. So just to kind of avoid confusion, I called it do something, which means that you'll be adding this method to your class too, or we actually did that in the last lecture, in our classroom lecture. And so something is going to happen here. Then we go on and we create ourselves a new canvas to draw on, or basically we basically say we're going to have a new canvas. We don't set it to anything because it's set to null here. And then we take this canvas, which we name C, and we call this object that just is basically a way of holding drawing surfaces. It's an object that holds drawing surfaces, and we say, lock us a canvas, get us a canvas, and so it'll return to us something that we can draw on. And from there, we call do draw, and do draw comes back from like basically our first lesson that says, I'm going to draw something in this screen, and or I'm going to draw something, and all this code is in this method, and you get a canvas and you draw, and I'll be going down and showing you that in a minute. And then after that, we unlock the canvas. We basically say we're done drawing on this canvas. You can do whatever you want with it, and then the loop repeats. So what you need to understand here is that at a very high speed, probably, this is going around and around and around and around, and it's saying, okay, creature, do something. And then it calls on itself, because it is a view that owns this space creature. It calls on itself, do draw. And so whatever changed inside of this do something method will be drawn to the screen, hopefully, if we did everything right, during this part. So we basically, this method, make changes that will change the way the thing will be drawn, and then we get ourselves a new canvas, and then we draw to it. And so without further ado, let's go ahead and go down and see what does happen inside of this do draw method in the current class. And so this do draw method doesn't, as you can see, it doesn't have any like surface holder unlock. Whenever it doesn't the dot, whenever it doesn't specifically reference a class and call a method on it, like we do here and we do here, like here we're calling this method on the space creature class. Well, whenever you don't see this dot thing that sort of names the object, you can basically assume you're calling it on yourself, or this main game view is calling this method that it itself owns. And so let's go looking for it. Does it live in this file? Ah, yes, there it is, do draw. So what's happening here? We have basically what you can look at here is this is getting called in that loop over and over again, and in here I create a background. It's basically just a big old rectangle. If you remember how drawing rectangles earlier in the course, we just said, shape drawable, and I set the which defaults to a rectangle. If you just say, you don't put anything in here that says, new, I can't remember some of the like oval shape, stuff like that. If you just don't put any variables in here at all, and you just say shape drawable background new shape drawable without any descriptor. Maybe I should do one just as an example. I think like there's probably an oval shape. I don't know. I can't remember what they are. But in any case, we could have defined it to be something different than a rectangle. And it is, in this case, it is a rectangle. So, if you look at this color that I had created up above, the background paint, I'm just setting it to white. The RGB 000, it basically defines the color white. And so then I go down here and I set the bounds of my background to be basically the whole screen. This is the size of the entire canvas, and this is the size of width, and this is the size of the canvas height. And then I draw that to the screen. So basically anything after we get to this point, anything that we had drawn to Android's screen has just been replaced by basically a big white rectangle, which basically just erases everything that we've done so far. Is this true? Actually, this isn't white. This is black. I'm sorry. 000 is black. So, but in any case, it's the same principle. We're going around in a loop. This gets called every time in that while statement we had seen earlier, and it erases anything that we've drawn before. And then immediately after that, we tell the space creature to draw itself, and we pass in this canvas object that got passed into us. And if you remember, that canvas object was created during that while loop because we asked basically the system to give us a new canvas to draw on. It gave us a canvas and we passed it on to this method. And now this method is passing it on, to our space creature, or my space creature, and in your case, whatever it is that you are creating or drawing. So, if you remember from when we were first doing the drawing, anything that you draw, it basically gets drawn in order. So after this part is called, we've got a totally black screen, and now the space creature is going to draw itself on top of that black screen. So if you could think of it, like a chalkboard, you draw something, you basically erase the whole screen and then draw something else. And if you could do that very fast, you could animate something. And that's what we're doing. So now I'm looking at my space creature class that we've been calling methods on this whole time. Well, actually, due to the YouTube 15-minute rule, I'm going to go ahead and stop this right here, and then there should be a second lecture after this that basically drives down into the meat of the matter, and we'll start drawing to the screen. Okay. See you in a minute.